Alrighty. This thing is actually surprisingly complicated to put on if you want to have it look right. Okay. A streamy from Phoebe. What's up, Aria? What's up? What's up? Morning from Blighty, y'all. Blighty? What is Blighty? Is that a town? Is Blighty the name of a city? Pangloss! I haven't seen you in forever, dog. What's up? Glad to see you in here. Good luck this time. Thank you, Pangloss, for the $9.99. I don't know. You said good luck this time. I'm not sure. 100% sure why, but maybe you just mean because the chat tends to be so wild. I appreciate the 60 back, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, of course, Aria. I'm just sorry I didn't get it to you earlier. Genuinely. I kept forgetting when I would have the money, and then I would remember when I didn't. So I wanted to get that back to you because in that particular case, I had borrowed some money. I think I borrowed 50 bucks from Aria like 6 months ago, and I did finally make good on it. It just took me a while, and I apologize. Yes, that's what I meant. This chat is vile. Yeah, no, it definitely can be, for sure. It's not always. Like, you're nice, Aria's nice, lots of good people in here. But it can get real toxic. It's okay. Well, I'm glad you're understanding, Aria. I appreciate that. I think because yesterday's members-only stream worked so well, here's what we're going to do today. The first hour of this stream is going to be public for everybody available, okay? And the second hour will be public. Anybody can watch, but members-only chat. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up for a membership now so that you're not waiting, or that it doesn't take you a few minutes whenever we do turn that mode on here in about an hour. How often do you brush your teeth? Pretty much every day. Sometimes I'll forget and skip a day. Like I haven't brushed them in 2 or 3 days right now because I've been going through like the most busy 3 days of my life, basically, outside of my kid being born. So, with that being said, normally it's more often. Hello, great to see you again. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm here for the entertainment of the peoples. So today we've got a couple of different things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the 2 chemical disasters that have taken place or almost taken place in the case of one on the West Coast over the course of the last week or two. We're also going to talk about the escalating tensions in Iran and the likelihood that we are about to go full bore right back into armed conflict with a country that didn't attack us. So if those topics sound interesting to you, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell, and start asking me some questions about it so we can get deep into it. What's up, Phoebe and crew? How it do? What's up, Big Gabe? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? At what point did you find womanhood was your identity of reality versus closeted gay? Well, I was never like a closeted gay. I'm bisexual, so I'm attracted to cis women, cis men, trans women. I don't really discriminate much on the basis of like what you've got between your legs. As far as when I realized that I was indeed trans and not just bi, I think I knew that I was trans before I actually knew that I was bi. I feel like I knew more about my feminine gender identity than I did about the nuances of my sexuality way earlier in life. What is cis? Like, it's the same gender that they were born assigned to. So, like a man that's not trans would be called a cis man. So, 99% of men, basically. 99% of women. 99% of people in general. Trans people make up less than 1% of the overall population. Which really makes you wonder why the Republicans are constantly talking about us, huh? Doesn't that make you scratch your head a little bit? Why is this even taking up space on the internet still? I don't know. Why is your dumbass still commenting hateful bullshit on my chat if it's so pathetic and unworthy of your time? We could ask each other dumbass questions like that all night long if you want to. So let's get into this news story, since I'm just being asked the same rote questions as always. Let's see here. Let's find a good article. Oh, yes. Al Jazeera. Always with the good information. So, I'll show you guys that. Woo. So you know that I'm actually reading from something real, not just Gemini, which I do occasionally read from. So the United States has carried out new military strikes on Iranian military sites, allegedly posing a threat to U.S. forces and maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, according to news reports. Iranian media has reported that U.S. Forces struck near the Bandar Abbas airport, causing no damage or casualties. So much for our super effective military, right? Iran's IRGC later said that it launched an attack on an American airbase in retaliation for the Bandar Abbas strike and warned of more decisive action should U.S. aggression continue, according to state media. Kuwait's military said its air defenses confronted hostile missiles and drones without providing information on where the attack came from. The Israeli military has issued forced displacement orders for the entire population of southern Lebanon, threatening them to flee north of the Zorani River, some 25 miles from Israel's border. So basically, what I'm reading right now in this particular section is how Israel is basically planning to do to Lebanon what they did to what they did to Gaza, insofar as committing genocide against them. And by the way, that's not just Al Jazeera talking, nor is it the IDF suggesting that that might be happening by ordering the forced expulsions of these people. It's also something that's been discussed in the Knesset. It's something that's been discussed by Israeli politicians. So yeah, they are planning on reopening the Gaza playbook for their northern neighbors. Wonderful. And we're going to finance that, by the way, with our tax dollars. So if you're a taxpayer like me, and like I imagine most of you guys are, you should be pretty angry about that. But a lot of people aren't going to be because they're narrativized into believing that the rapture is right around the corner. Excuse me. So now we've got an update from 8 minutes ago. U.S. Iran between very dangerous zone of war and peace, says EU's Kalas. Kaja Kallas, the European Union's foreign policy chief, has said return to war will not benefit anyone. They are right now in between this very dangerous zone of war and peace, and it is not in anybody's interest that this war continues, she told reporters at a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Cyprus today. Well, of course, obviously, it's in nobody's best interest that the war continues. That doesn't really have much to say about whether it is continuing or going to continue, but I think it's pretty safe to assume, just based off of what we've read already, that yes, indeed, the war is back on, folks. Yay! Holy war! Aren't you guys glad that your tax dollars are gonna blow up more brown babies in Palestine and the Middle East on a fucking pointless, fruitless holy war? Yay! Holy war! Yay! I love seeing my tax dollars being pissed away to fucking fight for some fundamentalist religious morons in a fucking country I've never been to and will never see in my life. My favorite fucking thing! And all because some idiot named Judah Maccabee rebuilt the Jewish temple fucking 2,000 years ago. If that motherfucker had been assassinated before he ever got the chance to lay a single brick, you realize we'd be spared from the entire sordid affair? You realize we would have been spared from the entire sordid affair if the early fucking like Jewish elders and shit had not been able to pass religion in the fucking Abrahamic variety down the line, creating Christian fundamentals who are some of the most oppressive people on the planet today, creating Islamic jihadists and fundamentalists who are the respectively most oppressive people in their regions. We could have been spared the entire sordid affair if it were not for the fundamentalist religious activities of one particular fucking dude 2,000 years ago. So as your tax dollars go to fund this war, as you start to see the pictures of little Iranian children with their heads cut off and their limbs separated from their bodies, just know, A, your tax dollars went to fund that. B, the country that you live in has a bunch of elected officials who believe in a Bronze Age bullshit narrative that codifies the rapture of those people's deaths should be codified into policy. And C, we would have been spared the entire sordid affair if humanity would have had the fucking gall, the gumption, and the balls to cut ourselves off from religion 200 years ago, 500 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, where even then the philosophers of the ancient world were starting to realize that these stupid religions based on false ideas about how the world works are not an effective lens for analyzing the world. Could have been spared the entire sordid affair. As a trans woman, do you take hormones or no? If no, why do you not take them as a means of gender affirming care? I want to take hormones. I just haven't been able to for most of the last 5 years. However, I am making better money now, and hopefully within the next month, I'll be able to get on health insurance. Within the next 2 or 3 months, I'll be able to get on HRT again. Sorry. Mm. Your tax dollars are going to him? Who, Bibi Netanyahu? Yeah, literally. Your tax dollars, that money that you see disappear from your check before you ever get it, are going to fund the extravagant lifestyle of people like Benjamin Netanyahu and his son, who is gladly sipping martinis in Miami while your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your husbands, your wives go fight and die in a needless aggressive war against an enemy that never attacked us. I'm really happy for you. I don't know your story or what brought you here, but you are a human and you exercise empathy. I hope hormones go well. Well, thank you. One second. That was a tough one. I ain't even gonna lie. That was a tough one. Mm. Oh, just a reminder, by the way, at 45 minutes into the stream, so about 45 minutes from now, we are going to be turning it over to members only chat. So if you would like to continue chatting when we switch over, make sure you sign up for a membership. Any level will do. They are super affordable. Literally for as low as $3 a month, you can help my channel continue going. Literally, if just 1,000 people did that, that's so few. That would be less than 10% of my overall subscriber base. And if less than 10% of my overall sub base paid for a $3 a month membership, that would be enough to fund the continued existence of my channel in perpetuity, as long as that level remains. So I'm just saying, it's super affordable, it's easy to sign up, and it enables you to chat when we switch over to members only chat. Have you read Anton LaVey? No, I have not read Anton LaVey. Last book I read, I do try and keep up and continue to read, even though I've been out of high school for like 10 years. The last book I read was God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. Come on, you bitch. Don't you fucking canoe. Is that a witch symbol behind you? I mean, it's not exactly a witch symbol. It's just an upside down pentacle. You can certainly use it as a witch symbol, and many people do. But I personally am not a practitioner. Leave children alone. I mean, I tend to, considering I'm not a Southern Baptist preacher. I'm a trans woman, right? So trans people are statistically the least likely people to abuse your children. Statistically, the most likely people to abuse your children are Christian fundamentalist preachers, particularly of the Catholic and Southern Baptist varieties. And I am neither a Catholic nor a Southern Baptist, so you really don't need to worry about me with your kids. The type of people you see at Dollar General. What a fucking completely retarded statement when you realize that all Dollar General is just a cheap place for people in rural areas to go get groceries. What a fucking retarded statement. I look nothing like the fucking hayseed rural hick you would typically see at your everyday Dollar General. Now, because I live in a rural area of Mississippi, I am indeed that hayseed rural hick. But I don't look like it. You know why? Because despite being born in Mississippi, well, being born in Missouri and raised in Mississippi, despite that, I still somehow managed to go through life and pick up a personality. And it wasn't entirely based on modern pop country songs, which is why my personality is interesting and relatable and doesn't instantly reify rape culture just by sitting around me. Yeah, dog, you smoking raw? Yeah, these are raw cones, I believe, yeah. Man, I produce way too much mucus. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna go grab me a jug of water so that I can switch from water, or I'm sorry, switch from my iced coffee over to water, and that should abate some of the coughing and spitting and everything. But let me run and do that. You guys sign up for the membership, send a super chat if you want to support the channel, um, or you can donate through Cash App. That's down below. Alrighty, we're back. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate that. All right. Excuse me. Ow, my stomach hurts. He's is. Let's just read this off and see if this is a comment worth. Oh, fucking damn it! Went away. Oh, there it is. So let's just see if this comment is worth anything. We're just gonna test it out. All right. He's is gross, pathetic. All he's doing is just breathing that air we need. He's not supporting anything at all. He's a lowlife and doesn't need to be posting on YouTube. So, Paul Evans, number one, you write like you haven't graduated third grade, okay? By the time I was in third grade, I understood that a comment like the one you just typed would be considered a run on sentence, right? There's absolutely no punctuation in that comment, meaning that you don't even deserve to be in a live chat, let alone streaming. But let's set that aside for a second and just go down right into what you're saying on a structural grammatical level. You have presented me with gibberish. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you're smart enough to recognize that what you wrote was gibberish, but what you wrote me in that comment was nonsense. It's a run on sentence that if I were not as intelligent as I am, I would be completely unable to parse it simply because it uses syntax so horribly. All right? Now that we've addressed the grammatical concerns and your own evidenced like unintelligence as displayed in that comment, let's get into the nitty gritty of what you're saying here. So I'm gross. Okay, go watch somebody else then. I don't have you chained to the radiator, nor can I control your YouTube app. I wouldn't want to. If you find me gross, go watch somebody else. I can guarantee you that at this moment, there are about 700, probably, other people streaming in exactly the same manner that I am, on exactly the same algorithm. Okay? So go find one of them. I don't care if you think I'm gross. I frankly don't give a fuck. There are some people that are going to find you gross no matter what habits you keep. Literally, no matter what habits you have, no matter how you dress, no matter what you wear, no matter where you live, no matter who you are, some people will find you gross. It is not my job to alleviate that in you or to change my habits, aesthetics, or anything else to satisfy your comfort. Okay? So putting that aside, um, all he's doing is just breathing air, so you keep misgendering me as if that is somehow ennobling of your argument, when really all it reveals is that you're a narrativized moron who can't interact with a trans woman without getting triggered by the very fact that she is a fucking like a fucking trans woman. That's all you show when you consistently misgender people like that, okay? So now that we've gone through that, just breathing the air we need, that air we need, once again, gibberish, completely grammatically incorrect. But setting that aside, air is not a limited resource, like it's something that is perpetually being generated and sustained and maintained by the collective activity of all the animals and plants on the planet and by activities that don't have anything to do with the flora and fauna on this planet. And it is not going to be displaced in any way by my fat ass sitting around talking online in a way that you don't like. So now we've gone over that. What else do we have here? He's not supporting anything at all. So just today, I got new rotors on my mom's car, and I got her an oil change. When I bought the rotors for her car, I also bought a set of really nice replacement ceramic brake pads, so that whenever she needs another brake job after this one, because I had the pads replaced for it recently, I knew you're supposed to get them replaced altogether, but I didn't because I'm an idiot. Plus, I didn't really realize rotors were bad until I got the pads replaced. But luckily, they could use the old, or not the old pads, but not the ones I just bought. Point is, I'm already doing more maintenance on my mom's car than even she has this year. And I'm not saying that to denigrate her. I'm just saying I've got more ability to pay for stuff like that than she does at this point in her lives. Why? Because I make good money doing this right here, what you see here on YouTube, and people enjoy watching it. People pay me to make sure that I can continue making it. I support people in my family. I have a kid that I support. I have other people who I support through my own generosity or help support through my own generosity. You don't know shit, jackhole. And I don't even like to talk about this shit. Just ask anyone who watches my channel regularly. I'm not around fucking constantly bragging about all the shit I do for everybody else. But ask anyone who personally knows me, and I fucking bend over backwards for the people that I love. So fuck you, bitch. And let me read that super chat. Luigi 2028, he's got a shot. Thank you, Inky Capelli. I love that. That was awesome. I agree. Ooh. Mm. I love your lives. Thank you. I love doing them. You're not a women gang. Saying that in all caps and badly misspelling it is not a refutation to the consensus of science and the medical community, right? Like you being a piss baby little whiny snowflake online does not change the consensus of the scientific community, which says that trans people exist and their medical outcomes improve when you allow them to access HRT and when their societies treat them with respect. Oh damn, you really got me there. I'm surprised you're admitting it, but yeah, I'm really good at owning people like that. Unfortunately for them, quite fortunately for me. Adam's apple science fool. Okay, so I guess you need a little fucking breakdown. Alrighty, let's just do it. Let's just fucking do it. Let's fucking fuck it. We ball. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm asking Gemini for something that it'll be able to get me a lot faster than me Googling for each individual thing. I asked it, write me a 3 paragraph summary of the scientific basis for transgender people and accepting them, with cited sources available and a bibliography. Scientific research indicates that gender identity is a complex, biologically rooted trait rather than a purely social or psychological construct. Evidence from neurobiology suggests that the brain structures of transgender individuals often align more closely with their experienced gender identity than their sex assigned at birth. That's from Guillemot et al. In 2016. Studies focusing on cortical thickness and white matter microstructure have identified specific patterns in regions such as the bed nucleus of the stria terminalis, the BSDC, and the superior longitudinal fasciculus that reflect this alignment. That's from Mohammadi and Kalegi in 2018. These differences are hypothesized to emerge during critical periods of prenatal brain sexual differentiation, where hormonal exposure organizes neural circuits independently from the development of external genitalia. So what that's basically saying, translated into layman's terms, is the effects that the hormones have on your body, like as you're like being developed, have and like an effect on what you end up experiencing as gender identity, regardless of what your chromosomes determine your sex to be. The biological basis is further supported by genetic and endocrine research, which suggests that gender identity is an inherited polygenetic trait influenced by variations in sex hormone signaling. That's from Batista and Oliveira, 2024. Studies of monozygotic twins show a significantly higher rate of shared gender identity compared to dizygotic twins, indicating a robust genetic component. That's from Garg, ND. Additionally, atypical prenatal androgen levels or variations in hormone receptor genes, such as the androgen and estrogen receptors, have been linked to the development of gender incongruence from Baron and Baum and Belts, 2016. This scientific framework moves the understanding of transgender identity away from older psychosocial models and toward recognition of it as a natural variation of human biological development. Acceptance and medical support are critical because gender affirming care has been consistently shown to improve mental health outcomes. Let's just repeat that for the ones in the back who are too stupid to listen to science and accept it as it's being recited to them, despite the long list of sources. Let's just repeat this, okay? Acceptance and medical support are critical because gender affirming care has been consistently shown to improve mental health outcomes. Clinical guidelines from major medical organizations such as the Endocrine Society emphasize that suppressing endogenous hormones and providing gender affirming therapy significantly reduces symptoms of depression, anxiety, and gender dysphoria. That's from Hembry et al. 2009. Social acceptance and access to transition related care are identified as primary predictors of positive long term psychological well being, whereas lack of support is associated with high rates of suicide attempts and psychological distress. Consequently, the scientific consensus supports a gender affirming approach as the most effective means of optimizing the health and safety of transgender individuals. That's from Sion 2026. So now we've got a long list of references. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because that would be tedious. But what I am going to do is show you guys that long list of references, and then I'm actually going to tell it to share this, share conversation, create a public link, and I'm going to put this in my chat. And any of you guys who are interested in actually learning a thing or two about science can look at this Gemini link, and it provides the links at the end of the conversation that we just read off. It provides a long bibliography with references and links to the research that you can read yourself. Free, readable links that you can look into yourself. So now I'm going to run over to YouTube. Once again, if you are enjoying the chat, make sure you sign up for that membership because at 1 hour, we are transitioning to a members only live chat. Membership is at 1 hour. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, King Bugs, for the 5 gifted memberships. I didn't even see that. I appreciate it a ton. Alrighty. Let's see here. I'm just going to spam this until a bunch of people click on it. Alrighty. There we go. Now no one can say that they didn't see the link. Now no one can say that they don't have the research available to them. Now nobody in here can say that they didn't have the science behind trans people explained to them directly with a long list of scientific sources. You can look into this yourself. But if you choose to be wrong on this because you have an inborn or some kind of narrativized kind of mental thing that you just can't get over, that's your choice to reject scientific fucking findings. It is your choice to do that, but don't foist it upon other people as if it represents some fucking reality. Because the reality is, trans people are real. We're out here. We're here. We're queer. Get used to it. It's the pinned link. Brother, what? I have a degree in chemistry and biology. You can't become something you literally aren't. Okay, chemist Caleb, if you have a degree in scientific fields, then here's your fucking homework, chemist Caleb. Why don't you come on chat? Why don't you fucking hit my Discord up right now or get me your Discord and I will bring you on a call and we can go through this Gemini conversation and we can choose any one of the studies and we can fucking go through its scientific merits together. You want to do that? You want to come on fucking Discord and have me demolish you in front of fucking 171 people because you think your degree in chemistry gives you something to say about the long-standing and fucking well-approximated science of gender identity? Trans stuff isn't settled science. Why do you think there are still studies being made, idiot? You're fucking retarded. There are still studies being done about all kinds of things that are established science. For example, there are always more studies being done around the oil industry and around oil exploration and related subjects, because even though we understand all of the basics, a lot of the fundamentals, and even a lot of the advanced stuff, there's still room to expand our knowledge on every subject. We're still doing experiments and research to determine the real, true nature of gravity, which is something we've understood the basics of for hundreds of years now. Once again, I just want to remind you guys in like 15 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that, we are going over to members only chat. So please make sure you sign up for those memberships now so that you're not left in the dry and cold whenever we turn it on. It's very cheap. It's like $3 a month. Easy way to support the channel, and it enables you to access the members only live chats that are becoming a staple of this channel. Do you think that there is or isn't an unnatural growth of trans people? No, I don't think there is. I think what you're seeing is more people being confident in their ability to come out. And that's what the science shows too. I mean, we can look that up real quick if you want me to, but I've read things about this in the past. It's not that there are actually more trans people, it's that more of us are out. Oh, thank you, King Bugs, for that $10. I appreciate that a ton. Sorry to see it's one of those kind of nights, Phoebe. Dude, I'm not. These nights are great for my viewership. And look at the like button. There's 42 likes. So there's at least 42 people that swung through at a certain point and thought, yeah, you know what? I like that bitch. And 42 likes a night going at it for a year. I mean, look at what that translates into in terms of sub numbers, in terms of interaction numbers, in terms of view hours. I love it when it's like this. I love the fierceness of the debate. I don't give a fuck what mean, angry people with a backwards Bronze Age religion telling them how to think, or a completely fundamental misunderstanding of science have to say about my lifestyle. I simply don't. It doesn't occur to me to care about that. I do like, though, having the ability to have these conversations and present my points in a way that enables me to capture all the different angles because I've got so many different people that disagree with me. That is something to be valued and preserved, I think. But thank you for the $10. I appreciate that a ton. If anybody else would like to support the channel in that manner, you can either by sending via Cash App or Super Chat, like these kind, lovely people have done. Either way, I appreciate it a ton, and thank you. Happy Mental Health Month on June, everyone. Hey, thank you for the $2. I appreciate that. I think you're high, little bro. I think you're a fucking moron. What's up, Dirty Dan? I'm kidding. Pumpkin Master. I'm just on a roll. I'm on a roll. Don't trip me up with stupid bullshit, okay? What's up, Dirty Dan? LO True, that's why I admire you. Well, thank you. You know what? I appreciate that. If nothing else, that is the mission of my channel. Have interesting conversations with people that agree and disagree, and just fucking hammer that shit hard. Oh my god, dude. I guess I'm gonna have to fucking go ban somebody off the channel. I keep seeing comments from them. Let's see here. Yeah, literally 3 comments in fucking 2 minutes. Okay, cool. Hide from channel. Gotcha. Retard, bro. Utter retard. What does being trans accomplish you, really? It makes me comfortable in my own skin. It makes me feel like I'm not telling a complete lie about who I am, what I like, what clothes I want to wear, how I want to have my hair, and everything else. You understand, before I came out as trans, I was trying my best to approximate a personality that I felt as though had been foisted upon me, that I could not relate to, that I did not want to relate to. Now that I live authentically as a trans woman, I am able to wear the clothes that I want in confidence. I'm able to be the way that I am in confidence, and I feel better as a result of it. They lifted the evacuations today. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the disasters happening. So, in another stunning example of America's rot and continued destitution and decay, there have been two, read them, count them, two major, I guess you could call them chemical events, man-made catastrophes, near misses. Well, one of them's a near miss, but there are two different things that happened on the West Coast. One of them that, let's see here, West Coast oil, or let's go chemical um, tank failures. Yeah, let's see here. So yeah, one of them. In Longview, Washington, I think this was yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yeah, the day before yesterday, massive 80,000 gallon industrial storage tank was at roughly 60% capacity, just fucking imploded and ruptured. It had held white liquor, which is a highly corrosive and caustic byproduct used heavily in paper manufacturing. It was a paper mill that this tank failed at. The catastrophic rupture resulted in structural collapse, leaving 2 workers dead, several others suffering from severe chemical burns, and multiple people reported missing, who are almost certainly dead as well. So, it's just frankly fucking insane. And you cannot, in my opinion, look at this as anything like we don't know 100% sure what happened yet, as far as I know. But it's the collapse of the American empire. How many more of these have to happen before we start to realize that that massive privatization and then on to financialization of every fucking industry and every product line and supply line in this country has led to conditions where profits are valued so much that the ongoing maintenance of these projects is spurned infinitely in pursuit of short-term profits and stockholder gains. Like, when are we going to realize that we are going to have to put a fucking stronger choke on these fucking industries and these fucking people to make sure that what needs to happen happens on time? That we actually spend the money that we make in this country in ways that are intelligent and remunerative. So the emergency unfolded at the GKN Aerospace Manufacturing. No, this is the other one. I want to see basically. Um, I want to see here. I want to know if any of these different organizations have released any findings. As of right now, the exact cause of the tank failure at the Nippon Dynawave packaging mill remains unknown. The structural damage is severe and the site remains highly hazardous. Investigators must wait for the area to be fully stabilized before they can safely pinpoint the mechanical or structural root cause. Several critical updates and technical details have emerged regarding the catastrophe. So, while early 911 calls reported both an explosion and an implosion, subsequent visual evidence and official briefings confirm it was a catastrophic structural rupture and implosion. The massive tank abruptly buckled and collapsed on one side, which split the tank's shell open, potentially at a critical weld or seam, releasing a massive wave of liquid. Initial reports estimated that the vessel, initial reports estimated the vessel at 80,000 gallons, but emergency officials have since corrected that figure. It was actually a 900,000 gallon tank that was more than half full, resulting in a spill of up to 570,000 gallons of caustic white liquor. So over 500,000 gallons of incredibly caustic, dangerous fluid. Awesome. So the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board officially opened a federal investigation. A dedicated team of CSB investigators arrived on site yesterday to paste together a timeline and physical evidence. Washington's Department of Labor and Industries has also deployed investigators to the mill. Officials note that complete forensic analysis of the tank could take up to 6 months to conclude, and state records show that unrelated safety complaints were filed against the facility as recently as March and early May 2026. One of those complaints specifically involved a valve on a separate aqua ammonia clarifier tank. Though regulators stress it was completely unrelated to the white liquor tank that failed. I don't know, man. That sounds like cope to me. That sounds a little fucking premature, in my opinion. Like, how do you know it's unrelated until you get done with this investigation? So, the investigation is moving slowly because the remaining structure is highly unstable, holding an estimated 90,000 gallons of unspilled chemicals. The high corrosiveness of the white liquor, sodium hydroxide and sodium sulfide, actually ate through some of the first responders' protective hazmat gear, forcing recovery teams to approach the wreckage with extreme caution. Governor Bob Ferguson has since called the incident the deadliest industrial tragedy in modern Washington state history, as the presumed death toll has tragically risen to 11 workers. So yeah, this is probably going to contaminate the Columbia River. It has already killed almost certainly 11 people. And as far as we know, it just kind of fucking failed. Like, as far as we know, it just kind of went like, I'm done now. I'm sorry, but that doesn't happen unless you've got a structure that is just completely neglected. The only way that happens is if you have structures that are completely fucking neglected. Either they're not being inspected or the inspections aren't being followed up on. And it's just one more sign of America's ongoing industrial collapse and ongoing systemic rot. Happy early Pride Month. It is getting awfully close to Pride Month. As usual, I'm going to be following every day with like day one of Pride Month, you know? Thank you for the 27 Russian dollars or Brazilian dollars, I guess. Cool, thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, I'm from Brazil. I know they already know it, but the meaning of life, at least to me, is being happy with who we are, keeping up the fight. Sis. Yes, I 100% agree. If there is any meaning to be found in life, then there is none objectively. But if you are to take some subjective meaning of life, I think the best and most justifiable one is living life to the fullest, having as much fun as you can while inconveniencing as few people as possible. Good job hitting 50 likes. Now get us to 60. 100%. Yeah, thank you guys for hitting 50 likes. Let's get us up to 60 likes. Tell you what, we got up to 60 likes. I'll play you guys a song on the guitar. Thank you, King Bugs, for the 10 gifted memberships. And that reminds me, you guys need to sign up for the membership. It's only $3, okay? It's only $3, and it will enable you to speak in the members only live chat that we're going to be switching over to here in like 10 minutes, 13 minutes. It's so fucking cheap. It's a great way to support the channel month to month with very little commitment out of you, and it goes a long way. 1,000 people do that at $3 a month. That's enough for me to continue this channel in perpetuity. I mean, like, as long as that's happening. So come on, people, join up. It'll be fun. Opinion on AGP? Well, number one, I think it's like something that people like hyper focus on and talk about as if it like negates the experience or reality of trans people. I'm sure that there are like some people that are like turned on by the fact that they're trans, but there are cis women who are turned on by the fact that they're cis women. And I don't know why trans women who are attracted to their own trans femininity are like we are expected to now. Personally, I'm not one of those people that has that, but like for some reason, all trans women were expected to maintain this standard that cis women are not expected to maintain. In fact, it's considered really hot when a cis woman is like reveling in her own femininity and her own, sexuality. But for some reason, in like the intersection between her gender and her sexuality, but for some reason, when trans women do that, it's all of a sudden weird. What about when trans men do it? Does it say something about them too? I don't think it does. I think it's something that people, um, I think it's something they overhype in importance and conversational necessity, mainly to distract from the very real problems of bigotry against trans people. Boy or girl, I am a trans woman. That's kind of what we're talking about. The world just doesn't like us, AMAB? No, that's not true. I would actually say that the world we live in is pretty patriarchal, and in a lot of ways, like, affirms and is kind of built around people who are cis and assigned male at birth, cis men. So, like, the sex identity, or I'm sorry, like the sex and gender distinction there, um, like, is kind of the key as to why the experience of a trans woman is so much different than the experience of a cis man, right? Like, a cis man living the same community as a trans woman, if the privilege was being assigned to AMAB people in general, then you would expect the trans woman to maybe have worse chances than a cis man, but to still have better chances than a cis woman. When in fact the exact opposite, or not the exact opposite, but something very different is the case. In among an applicant pool with 9 cisgender candidates, 5 men and 4 women, and 1 transgender candidate, the trans candidate is the least likely candidate to get picked for that job. And the same can be said in very similar situations when it comes to housing and stuff like that as well. So if the privilege was actually assigned on the basis of sex, then you wouldn't see these big discrepancies. I complain about the differences between cis people. Just what isn't going on? Live your life and go where you are treated best. I don't think most people care what you identify as. I talk about it because people pay me to have interesting conversations on the internet with my chat about topics that they care about. So if somebody comes into this chat and they're obsessed with the fact that I'm a trans woman and they want to ask questions about it, I'm willing to answer them on that. Maybe because nobody cares about your sexuality and people don't want to deal with playing along with the fantasy of best and destination worst. If people don't care, then why do they care? You just made a fucking complete nonsense chat in my chat, and I don't know if you realize that. You just sent that rhyme. You just sent a complete gibberish comment. You are saying nobody cares, bro, but then you're saying people care a lot because you're either deluded or fucking mentally ill, or whatever you said. Like, do people not care? Or do people care so much because it's destroying society and we're forcing everyone to follow our weird trans ways? This is the doublethink of a fascist. I'm not saying you are a fascist, but this is the doublethink characteristic of one. Phoebe, you have 50 likes. You may have 55 likes, but I have Taco Bell. Keep it. I worked at Taco Bell for 2 years. I've eaten more than enough Taco Bell to last a lifetime. If I never eat a Taco Bell again, it'll be too soon. Josiah, what's up? I set my gender to female on YouTube because I hated the ads I was getting. Now I get cool people recommended in my feeds. Literally, unironically, that happened for me when I came out as trans and started like updating stuff. Suddenly, I didn't have to like. Suddenly, I didn't have to watch over my YouTube recommendations so much because I used to have to fucking farm that shit. Basically, I used to have to like organize it and make sure that like if I saw a video I didn't want to see, not interested. Saw a recommendation or an ad I didn't like, not interested. I had to fucking constantly hammer it with that shit just to get it somewhat acceptable to me. But then, when I came out as trans and changed some of my settings around, suddenly the personalized recommendations and shit got a lot better, a lot more useful. Oh, Trump's best president yet. Good bait, bro. Good bait. As the president and his fucking military continue to um, drag us further and further into a forever war with Iran, you're still out here carrying the fucking water. I'll take things that ain't happening for 800, Alex. Are you Australian? I love your accent. No, I'm from the deep south. But it's weird if there's like a little bit of perceived Australian or something in there. That's strange. I will tell you this much. I've had a lot of Aussie friends throughout my life, and I do spend a lot of time listening to British people speak or audiobooks narrated by British people. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is some kind of weird tendency that I've grasped onto at some point in the last 20 years. Biden was the most lucid president ever. Now that's a fucking joke. You're funny. That's hilarious. I may be a leftist, but if all of us in America can agree on anything, it should be that Joe Biden was the least lucid president we've had since the year 2000. Since before the year 2000, really. You would have to go back to like the failing years of the Reagan administration. You would have to go back towards like Reagan raking leaves out of the White House pool to find a less lucid president than Joe Biden. Let's just let's just be real about that, okay? Let's be so real about that. How far left? Because if you stop at sexual identity, you're more of a central troll. I think that we need to fucking abolish the commodity form and find a way to live communally. I don't think that we're going to be able to do that immediately, but I advocate for a market socialist system to replace the failing fucking neoliberal capitalism we're dealing with presently. My criticisms of society go a hell of a lot further than gender, and in fact, I much prefer to talk about class issues. But when people ask me gender related questions, that's what we're going to talk about. Yes, become a member. In 2.5 minutes, we are going to be switching over to members only chat. So if you are not a live stream member, you won't be able to chat in here anymore. So please consider signing up for that membership. I want to continue talking to you guys, but I also want to encourage joining the membership. So please do that. It is the best way you can support this channel other than just like super chatting and stuff like that. So, yeah, just do that because it's coming. I'm telling you. It's coming here in just a minute. If I can figure out how to who was worse, Reagan, Trump, or Jackson? Andrew Jackson, no doubt. Andrew Jackson easily runs away with it. Um, you know, what were the other two? Reagan and Trump both did horrible things, but neither of them did the Trail of Tears. Alrighty. Once again, in 2 minutes, we are going to members only live chat. So if you want to continue chatting in here, please sign up for a membership. Thank you, Josiah Baker, for signing up for that membership again. I appreciate that a ton. And King Bugs with the gifted 5. Hell yeah. I love to see it. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Dude, I am so happy that I bought that Wi-Fi extender because now my connection is so stable. No more Buffy. Knock on wood. Why do you have weird looking background crucifix in your it's black and white? Oh, this thing? It's a spirit board. My mom got it for me because she thought it would make a cool set piece in here, and she loves me. And she was right; it does make a really good set piece. So it's basically a spirit board. If I were to use it, which I'm not a practitioner, but if I were to use it, you would find a level surface or a somewhat level surface to set it on. You find a place that's got good energy, which means more to you if you're a spiritualist and less to you if you're just someone who understands the psychology behind the use of pendulums and spirit boards and things like that. But that can mean like an abandoned building with some drafts. There's like a creepiness factor, and it's deeply psychological that informs how you feel about different places. But you find a place like that, and then you get a pendulum. I don't have anything in here that I can use to really mimic a pendulum well, but I can use this incense as kind of like an example. So you'd set it up in a relatively level space, and then you would ask it a question, and um, usually you'll subconsciously end up moving your hand a little bit, and the wind and environmental conditions will cause it to sway to one side. And the idea is wherever it seems to be favoring, whichever direction it seems to be favoring, is the answer that you get. And if it seems stuck between two, you go with whichever one it seems closest to, or you look at the opposite side and see if it's selecting for an answer more closely in a shallower direction. And depending on how many layers you want to add to the ritual and your like the psychologizing behind it, the not the freak out, that's not the word I'm looking for, but there's a word for it basically. The damn it, what is it fucking called? It's something magicians do too, but I can't think of the phrase. But basically, if you want to increase the effect of it, you can add more layers to the mythology that you're relying on. You can be like, well, sometimes it gives you a shallow answer, which is a soft yes, where it'll be between two answers, or it'll, soft, whatever. You can add different layers to the idea behind how it works. Anyway, we are going to go ahead and switch over to members only mode, and then I am going to run outside, grab the cat food, and feed him again because he is hungry. If you are not a member, please go ahead and sign up. It will enable you to continue chatting in here, and I would love to have you. Not only that, but it's super cheap, and it's a good way to support the channel without spending a whole lot of money. It's only like $3 to access uh, the cheapest tier. So, anyway, be right back. God, you're insane. Lord have mercy. Alrighty. Now she's fed. And we are down to just members and mods. Okay, Sissy, where are you, cutie? Well, she didn't. She's eating. So. Sissy won't be with us for a minute because she is busy getting her grub on. But yeah, join the membership if you're not joined already to make sure you can continue chatting. Obviously, if you're a mod, you don't necessarily have to, but it's still appreciated. Are you in a camper? No, Techno. I'm actually in an outbuilding, basically. Like well, I call it an office trailer because I'm pretty sure that's what it was used for in a in a past life. Basically, towed to different work sites and used for the bookkeeping and various small material storage and stuff like that. And it was going to be converted into a little cabin back before my parents got back together. And now the plan is to actually use it for an office for one of the businesses that we do here on the property. And I'm actually going to be changing my studio location to a different outbuilding, hopefully here within the next 6 months, where I will be able to do all of my streams from. And I'm going to have a little little porch area on one side of it where I can still do these, um, you know, what do you call them? These vertical streams. These more kind of intimate, one-on-one kind of things. I know I'm a big supporter of capitalism, but fuck $25 drinks at a concert. Boston is too expensive. Too expensive? What do you mean, too expensive? People pay these prices, do they not? You yourself pay these prices, do you not? If you really objected to the price all that much, you would not give this business your custom. No, this is merely what the market allows, and we shall charge as much as we can. Just saying. Just saying. That's why lefties are so hardcore against capitalism, is because you take capitalism to its ultimate fucking extreme, you let it completely off the chain, you let people's desire to prioritize profits go to its ultimate maximum level, and you just end up with miserable societies where everything's too expensive to buy. Ticket prices have gotten insane. I remember $20 for tickets now being like 200 for a big act. Yeah, dude, it's fucking insane. I don't know, man. I remember I never got to go, but I bought tickets to go to a City and Color concert. And I was, man, it's so stupid. I had a car of my own and I wanted to go by myself and maybe bring one of my friends or something. And my mom did not want me going to St. Louis because she was kind of like my mom was raised in town, but she was raised in a rural town where St. Louis was like the big city and everybody was terrified of it. And she didn't really seem to understand how low crime rates were compared to when she was a kid and a teenager. So she didn't want me going by myself, and she also didn't trust one of my fucking jerk off friends to protect me either. So she wanted me to go with my older cousin, who was a cool fuck and probably would have very much liked to go to a concert at the pageant in St. Louis on Delmar. I guarantee it. I just it was a whole fight between me and my mom, and then I basically out of spite didn't ask my older cousin. But I wish I would have. Man, I wish I would have. God, I feel like such an idiot for not doing that, dude. I look back at that with such fucking just disgust at myself. Thank you guys for being members, by the way. It's cool to see you guys concentrated in here in this little members only chat we got going. I've got to watch What We Do in the Shadows. Is that you talking about the vampire mockumentary? Yes, I've watched it. It is surprisingly good. One of my old friends and a friend of theirs and my ex. Guess that's what I get for mentioning the devil. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Me and my ex get along great. But they all conspired against me to make me watch that film. And I say conspired against me because I was feeling very antisocial that night, which sucks because I feel like a lot of times in my life I have been social at times when I couldn't go out and do anything, and antisocial at times when everyone around me just wanted me to be there. Because I hate being that person. So I try to go to things in the hopes that I will, come out of my shell and get over my self-righteousness or whatever and have fun. And I would say 9.5 out of 10 times I do. And this was one of those times. I don't know, like 5 minutes into the movie, I was like rolling my eyes, but 15 minutes into the movie, I was downright engrossed. I gotta say, it's an interesting flick. It's one of those movies I do think is, I should assemble. I'm not like a movie content creator, and I don't want to be. I wouldn't want to intrude on Paul's space. He's much more qualified than I am. But I do think it would be interesting for me as a content creator, just in general, who likes to talk about my life, for me to come up with a list of 10 movies that I think are like foundational films. 10 foundational films to watch if you want to understand my taste in movies and like or maybe just I don't know, not really my taste in movies even, but like I feel like I could come up with a list of 10 movies that I think are important to watch if you want to be able to say that you have a pretty broad understanding of film from the last 30 years. But it would also, of course, be reflective of my personality and shit. So I guess it's a complicated thing to conceptualize, but it'd be interesting to do. I saw a mermaid mockumentary from Discovery while tripping for a straight month. I was convinced they were real. What a dumbass. That's funny, dude. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. That goes to show you the kind of fucking dude, that's why I'm way more cautious about recommending psychedelics and why I talk about it the way I do now compared to how I used to, where I would just be more flippant about it because there are people, right? Like okay, I'm not one of these people, right? Like, man, I need to fucking get better at talking. So there are people who take the things that are revealed to them in a trip way too literally and take it way too far for way too long. And I'm not really one of those people, but I can definitely see how I could be susceptible to that, and I can see how other people could be. And I feel like I've just known too many people, met too many people, however you want to put it, that have tripped acid or mushrooms or whatever, and come out the other side of it with a weird Jesus complex or something. Like now they think they know esoteric truths of the universe that are all tied up in divinity and shit. And it's just off putting. Didn't Ticketmaster lose a lawsuit recently for being a monopoly? Yes, actually, I believe they did. Now, will that actually come with any enforcement? That's what I'm interested to see. I'm of the opinion it probably won't because I don't know. I hate to tie everything back to politics, but it really does feel like wherever um, business is brought up these days, you kind of have to. You kind of have to mention the influence, right? And I think this is one of those cases where the influence of big business is so strong in the Trump administration that there will be, I think, a lot of reticence to actually prosecute ongoing or continuous or whatever. I don't know how you put it, but I think if this continues to be a thing, they might just end up getting away with it. Um, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'll put it that way. Ticketmaster needs to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Ticketmaster needs to go. Yeah. The upcoming SpaceX IPO comes to mind. When is that coming? When is that coming? Let's see here. All right. Well, guys, damn. Okay. If I've got the money, even if it, and if uh if I've got the ability to, because I don't know, I was having some problems with my Cash App account, but I'm hoping that the call to customer service that I was on earlier and all that, I'm hoping that it resolves and I'm able to continue using my Cash App account as normal. If I am, though, I might try to get in on this. Fuck it. Why not, right? Because think about it. Somebody with my mindset gets in on it and gets a boost. I'm going to use it to fucking spew more socialist fucking propaganda and get people on board with the fight against the ruling class. Say I had, $1,000 to pour into it, which at this point I don't and probably won't by that point. But say I did, and I held on to it for like 2 years, 3 years, or something like that, and it ended up growing, exponentially or something. I could like donate that all to like a union that represents Tesla workers or something. Nah, don't do it. Why not, King Bugs? Why not? Why not stay up all night and do it? No, I wouldn't have to stay up all night because it's just like, no, maybe I would. I don't know. I probably would actually. I don't know. I guess I would have to fucking find out because I've never heard about a big IPO that I was reasonably sure was going to continue to grow in price for a long time. Um, since I became aware of stock trading and shit. Going to take them centuries to pay off investors? I ain't trying to fucking stay in a long term. I just know that within, the first couple of years of it being out there, it's probably going to generate a lot of hype. Elon Musk is kind of known for doing that. I don't know. I'm not saying that like anything about SpaceX or Elon Musk or anything like that is ethical, moral, or anything else. What I am saying is that I think it would be arguably pretty ethical for me as a regular working class content creator who makes their money um, doing this kind of thing, pushing people towards a better vision of the world, a more equitable vision of the world. I think it would be an interesting thing for me to be able to scalp a little bit off of that and put it towards something better than I don't know, donating to more Republicans or whatever some conservative chud that invests in the same thing is going to do with it. You need real capital. You got 100 million to spare, Phoebe. You don't need it. This is I was just reading about it. Not for this one. This IPO has specifically got 30% of it allocated to retail investors. So I guess I'll have to get my Robinhood account back going because yeah, that's one of the brokerage platforms you can get it through. I don't know. Seems like it might be an interesting thing to try and get in on. The people that have 100 million or more are not going to be individual retail investors that are going to be pouring into that. They're going to be people that are they're going to invest with an institution. That's how those people work. Joey, tell them. You get 100 million to pour into SpaceX, you're going to do it as one of the institutional investors. You're not going to. To me, it doesn't make sense to do it as a retail investor, at least. They might choose to do some as a retail investor. I don't know. Privatize the gain, socialize the loss. Everyone is a socialist at some point. Well, what I'm talking about is socializing the gains. I know that I would just be one person doing it. But I think it would be interesting as a social experiment to put, even if it was just like 200 bucks into it. And if I was able to get, which maybe I wouldn't be, maybe it would fizzle out because I wouldn't get an allocation. But if I were able to, and I was able to hold on to it and give you guys regular updates and like put it towards supporting a Tesla union or something like that, I think it could be a good example of how people could choose to start manipulating this financialized fucking economy towards the benefit of everyday people as a method of community organizing and building ourselves up as like a working class fucking, well, as a class, I guess you could say. That's what I thought you were talking about, not gonna lie. What do you mean, Dirty Dan? Oh no, don't profit off them. It's all dirty. They're bad folk. You don't want a slice of their pie. Well, I just, I don't know, man. I'm not going to deny that that exact problem is part of my thinking. It is. That's why I'm talking to you guys about it, right? If I just didn't fucking care, I would be approaching this differently. And I hope you guys recognize that. I am considering what you guys are saying. Like starting an IPO? No, I'm talking about getting in on the ground floor of this SpaceX IPO so that I can use that towards something positive and show people that it can be done. I can already see the video. Let me pitch it to you guys like this. Here's the video title. I got in on the SpaceX IPO to fund a Tesla union. Right? So, assuming I was able to get a hold of some SpaceX stock when it goes public, I hold on to it for 6 months, a year, however long it takes to make babies sufficient to start really, you know, like building on that. And I get to the point where I can donate like 3 grand off the sale of that or something and show how, like, just the simple act of our government nationalizing some of these industries through the mass purchase of some of their stock could take advantage of this financialized marketplace and put that money back into the hands of the people to spend on infrastructure projects, to spend on community organizing, to spend on solidarity. If one person can do it and show that it works, why couldn't we do that institutionally? That sounds like a socialist Mr. Beast title of a video. That's why I think it would go viral. And that's also why I think it would be kind of cool to do. Because think about it, if I was able to do that and I really committed to that project, I think I actually could make that into something that could possibly maybe if I was able to put enough into it, in theory, I could potentially turn it into enough money to like fund, like an entire 6 months worth of a strike fund or something. I don't know. It's just interesting to think about. If I did something like this, talked about it on these streams, showed you guys for accountability and everything, just the process. And then at the end of it, fucking sell it all and donate it to a big a big union for Tesla workers, and like for their strike fund or whatever. I just seized the means of production. These contestants have 2 minutes to grab the reins of power. Oh shit, that's funny. I can't lie. No, I prefer the Luigi method. Well, I can't advocate for the Luigi method. Oh man. Nor can I do a video exalting the virtues of the Luigi method. Alright? You guys are ridiculous. Whatever. I don't want to lose my fucking fan base because I went on some harebrained fucking scheme um, to do a cool ass video, and I do think it would be like a positive good for the world if it worked out. But you guys are kind of talking me out of it. You play Rocket League? No. Stonks are for suckers and whales. Um, I mean, no, no. Sorry, no. I mean, it is a bullshit fucking marketplace that mostly exists to scalp money off of the lower classes and submit it to the rich. Don't get me wrong, but participation in that, like, there's a reason why the rich and powerful made it normalized that pension funds and 401k funds are directly tied into the stock market, right? It's because they are tying the good of the stock market, basically, and the good of like everyday hardworking people together in a way that they would not otherwise be tied. And if you don't like have an avenue to normal participation in that through a 401k, and you make enough money to have savings to pay your bills and stuff like that, I do think that it's a good idea to put a little money into the market. I don't think that you should be fucking, gambling. Uh, Certainly not. But like there's this one stock that I will buy into that's just like one of those that tracks the S&P 500, basically. And, over the last year, it showed like 8% gain, which is stable growth over the last 10 years. I can't remember how much it showed, but it's positive growth, throughout the course of the stock's lifetime. So, I don't think people should gamble with it, but I do think that if you don't have a 401k and you are just dealing with savings and fluid money, you probably should get some of that in stock. 401ks exist as a backstop for the capital class. Well, yeah, of course. I'm not saying any of these systems are fucking moral, you guys. I'm trying to tell people, right? I'm just trying to be real about how you can fucking get out of crushing poverty if you ever happen to get enough money to be able to get out of crushing poverty. And this is the same advice you would be given by any, any financial advisor too. You don't want to fucking put massive amounts of money into the stock market, but it is good to put some of your savings in there so that it is tracking the overall market, which is almost always going to have a higher rate of return than your standard savings account is going to. Outside of 401k/pensions and sourcecraft, the cost of living standards have kept people out of investing in general stocks. People should use their tax returns to invest, but stuck in financial ruts. Exactly, Joey. Exactly. I understand that most people can't, and I'm not saying that you should if you can't. You know what I mean? Let me read this article. Matt is demanding I read an article. Most socialist thing I'll say for a hot minute. Yeah, no, I mean, that's why I think we get along so well, though, is I think me and you recognize a lot of the same problems, even if some of the ways we want to approach them are different. So, ex-US government official arrested after $40 million in gold bars found in home. What the fuck? A former U.S. government official has been arrested after FBI investigators found hundreds of gold bars worth more than $40 million in his Virginia home. He made several requests to the U.S. government to receive the bars for work-related expenses over the past year, according to court documents. He has been charged with criminal theft of public money and a complaint filed last week. Um, According to the New York Times, Rush held a senior position in the CIA up until recently. He was arrested and is being held in detention until his hearing this week. His attorney declined to comment. Agents also uncovered about $2 million in U.S. currency in Rush's home, along with 35 luxury watches, many of them Rolexes. Rush, who court documents say had top secret clearance and access to classified information, has also been accused of lying about his education and military service when applying for his government job and fraudulently taking military leave with thousands of dollars in pay. Rush is a former senior executive in a U.S. government agency in Virginia, court documents state. Asked about Russia's case, the FBI said in a written statement that it arrested an individual on 19 May following a referral from the CIA. After a CIA internal investigation identified potential violations of the law, CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred the information to the FBI for a law enforcement investigation. They said between November 2025 and March 2026, Rush made several requests to the U.S. government to obtain a significant quantity of foreign currency and tens of millions of dollars in gold bars for work-related expenses, which he later received, court documents state. During a review, the CIA was unable to locate the gold bars or significant amounts of the foreign currency. The government was also unable to locate any record of Rush providing information to his employer regarding the disposition of the currency or gold bars that he received for work-related purposes. The FBI then executed a search warrant for Rush's home in Virginia on 18 May. During the search, FBI agents seized approximately 303 gold bars, each of which weighs approximately 1 kilogram, the agency said in court documents. Based on the current price of gold, the estimated value exceeds $40 million, they added. The court documents do not indicate why Rush kept the gold bars and currency in his home. The BBC has contacted the CIA for comment. So, basically, an ex-U.S. official stole a bunch of gold, like gold bullion, is what I'm hearing. Like a bunch of gold bars. I don't know what that has to do with the price of rice in China, but it's an interesting story. Damn it, why is my eye doing that? Yeah, crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you probably expected me to have more interesting commentary on it, but to me, it's just like another example of a U.S. official almost getting away with some really crazy bullshit and just kind of being caught, um, not really in the nick of time, but long after the crimes were committed. Not long after the crimes were committed. I don't know how to put it. It has to do with government officials stealing money. Well, yeah, but we were talking about the stock market. But I mean, I'm not saying it's an unworthy news story. I read it, so. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the story is actually like less interesting to me specifically because he is being prosecuted. But maybe that's why it should be more interesting. Because I would say that in a lot of cases people do stuff like this and they totally get away with it. And one has to wonder if it's not a situation where he has pissed somebody off or done something uh, untoward to somebody in the broader CIA. It could be retaliatory or something like that, or it could just be that they caught some old bastard of the CIA stealing a bunch of gold to secure his own fortune, basically. Countries are trying to hoard gold again, protecting their fake currency for the next big war. USA has been collecting its gold like crazy from overseas accounts/vaults. Oh shit, you guys. Oh shit. I don't know why this thing gets so out of tune, but it pisses me off. Anyway, Eva Destruction was what I was gonna do, but that pissed me off, so I'm not gonna do it now. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Shit's getting hairy out there, y'all. I feel like a fucking pug. I feel like my left eye is gonna pop right out of its socket. Oh shit, Pam Bondi was diagnosed with cancer? Oh shit, was she? Couldn't have happened to a better lady. Oh man, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I genuinely don't want to be one of those people that's like reveling in the death of other people all the time. Pam Bondi sucks, and she's almost certainly responsible for deaths, but I don't know. Dying of cancer is not a way I'd want anyone to die, I guess, unless you were Hitler or Stalin or something, so. Yeah, fuck them. What goes around comes around. No, I 100% agree. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a complicated thing. I don't want to be a pussy about it, and I'm not gonna like dance around joking about somebody like Charlie Kirk dying, who I think did have a measurably worse effect on society than Pam Bondi ended up having, um, because one of them was merely a policy influence, and one of them was like both a policy influence and like a massive cultural influence too. So um, I just, I don't know, man. I feel like there are a lot of people who, every time one of their like political opponents or enemies dies, they're always like dancing on their grave and happy about it. And I don't even disagree in a lot of cases. And the worse those people are, I think the easier the case can be made. But you know, do I need to be ghoulish in this particular instance? I don't know. She certainly deserves it on some level, but at the same time, I don't know that I want to be known as someone who constantly goes around shitting on other people's illnesses and wishing for their death and shit. It just doesn't seem very humanist of me. Did you see the Iranian FBI leaks on Charlie? They say they have evidence it was a government ordered hit. No. What the fuck? Links? You got links? The right can be ghoulish, but as soon as the leftist is, oh no, the humanity. Well, yeah, that's why I'm not getting on you about being ghoulish or anyone else. That's why I'm not saying that I disagree with the tactic. I'm just saying that, like, I don't know, dude. There's plenty of people who are going to make that argument. A lot of them can probably do it better than me. And I feel like maybe I can save my dancing on the grave for people that are um like real colossal shitbags, like Charlie Kirk level and more, you know. Um Another thing is too, I mean, you know me, and I find the people on the right who dance upon the graves of leftist heroes and everyday people crushed under the boots of cops and the knees of cops, I find that to be equally reprehensible. In fact, I find it to be a lot more reprehensible than what people on the left do. So my priorities are perfectly in line. All just tactics to shut down your arguments. If you can't attack the substance, attack how it's presented. Oh, 100% for sure. But it's also true, you know, and once again, I'm not advocating for it for other people, but it's also true that, at least when it comes to me, if I don't give them that avenue for attack, then they can't really use it without looking absurd, right? Hello, Tizzy. Where's the legendary Taylor? I don't know. I think she's still asleep, probably. Or probably went to bed earlier. I don't know. Taylor's tired. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Rock-a-bye Taylor in the treetop. When the wind blows. I must see the links to the Kirk kit. Give them to me. I must see. Dan, give us the link. Dirty Dan, Dan. Give us the link. You gotta give us the link right now. 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 Everybody knows when you talk in the chat, you better have receipts. And know that if you don't, know that you're gonna get, and know that if you don't, you're gonna get smoked, everybody. Take your seats. Sorry, I'm trying to do like an 80s style rap about it. Damn it! Oh my god, that's hard to play. Let's see. Hard to disagree on celebrating Kirk's death. That's one. That one's fucked up. Nobody should be killed over views. Not like he ordered killings or made policy resulting in death. Well, I don't think you should be celebrating it. I agree, because I just in general don't like celebrating death. But joking about it, I think, is one thing. And I certainly am not going to be morally condemning anyone who's joking about Pam Bondi's death, nor Charlie Kirk's death. But I also don't sit around talking about how he had it coming, because I kind of agree with you on some level that people shouldn't be killed for their beliefs. On the other hand, it's also impossible for me to ignore all the bigoted things that he said, and all the backwards things that he had to say about black people, about queer people, about women, about class issues. It's impossible for me to ignore these things and the negative influence that they've had on our culture. And I can see how, as a result of that influence and the negative effect that it's had on the culture, I can see how some people might take out their frustration at his influence and his output on, you know, his his death, basically. Does that make sense? What's up, Taylor? Found a comedian talking about it and a reposting of the original Blacked Out video. Comedian short or 6-minute conspiracy vid. Let's get the original fucking conspiracy video, I guess. I don't want to be guessing on what's in this. Just put yourself in my new shoes and see that I do what I do because the old God still depends.
Everybody already knows what happened to Charlie Kirk, but what you don't know, or what they don't want you asking about, what Iranian hacker allegedly found inside a self-classified completely reframes the story that you were.
Okay, so it's only 6 minutes long, but we are going to shorten that to 3 minutes and 15 seconds by speeding up to 2 times.
I'm not here to tell you what's going to Here to ask the questions nobody else asks. Let's go. Watch this clip. Iranian hacker talking about the
Okay, so it says, this is what we pieced together from the emails and other intelligence sources. Okay. Charlie Kirk was never shot with a bullet, it claims. He was accidentally decapitated by a piece of shrapnel from a miniature explosive planted inside his microphone. Says the explosive was supposed to blow out his chest cavity, but it malfunctioned. Instead of detonating downward, it ripped upward and took his neck. That's what it says. I guess we can speed this. We can make this not as fast. Hold on. We can speed this down, as you might say.
And took his neck. That is why security immediately ripped every device off the stage. That is why the security camera behind Charlie was yanked from the wall on live feed. That is why they literally stole his body from the scene before it was to Iraq. That is why Netanyahu went on television within minutes to say it wasn't Israel before anyone had even asked. That is why the FBI took forever to find the killer. They had to rush manufacture evidence to match the lie. So let's be clear about what we just claimed. Hacker said that he was not a bullet.
Okay, so basically, the video is claiming so far that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by somebody who planted a device somewhere on his person that was meant to blow out his chest cavity, which I don't know. Doesn't make much sense to me. Seems like a strange place to want to, I don't know, man. I guess the idea is to simulate a shot being delivered to his chest, but just seems to me like you could do a lot better at making that happen. Um, I don't know. We'll keep watching. We'll see what happens. Thank you, King Bugs, for the $10. I appreciate it.
Charlie Kirk. According to these emails, it was an explosive device planted inside the microphone strapped to his body, detonated remotely from within that crowd. Radio source, I know it's unverified. They already hear you thinking. But before we dismiss it, let's take a look at what the camera actually captured that day. Something in this photograph does not fit the story at all. Let's take a look at the backside angle of Charlie Kirk. Can you see the black shrapnel?
Man, I don't buy this shit one bit. I don't know why that would be blacked out either. Okay, so if you look at this picture, it's calling these little black specks on Charlie's hand shrapnel. But looking, like zooming in on it, if you look, it kind of just looks like blood spatter. So whenever anything like I grew up on a farm. I've slaughtered animals. I've killed animals in the hunt. Luckily I've never had to draw blood from a human, but as someone who has drawn blood from flesh, if you puncture something like something with blood, um, with any kind of force, and it leaves a big enough hole, there will always be um, like blood spatter. There will be blowback, I think is what it's properly termed, from where that goes in. For example, if you shoot a deer in dense underbrush, and it just happens to fall right there, then um, when you get up to the body, you can look at the bush that was between you and the deer, and you can see blood, at least a few specks of it sometimes, on the bushes where it would have been, between you guys facing the deer. Uh, so it seems to me like it could very easily just be blood spatter, given where he would have had the microphone at that time. In fact, it would perfectly fit. If you look, it would perfectly fit. So I just want to point that out since we're talking about it.
His left hand jumping out from the microphone. That's what actually synchronizes with the story of the Iranian hacker. Let's take a look, or let's hear what Candace Owens also had to say about Mikey McCoy that day.
That is how long it takes for Mikey McCoy to put the phone to his ear. Now, why is that precise timing so important? Because there's no dialing. Mikey didn't have time to dial. Okay, you can't dial and put your phone to your ear in only maybe 3-4 seconds. The next time that you're going to see Mikey McCoy, as we just showed you, is in just under 2.5 seconds on the other side of the tent. He's on a phone call, so we can track Mikey. But let's watch the clip again in milliseconds so you really grasp how quickly this transpires. So when this clip was brought, here we go, we're tracking that. Yeah, when the clip was brought to my attention, I obviously have a file, a big folder.
This is Candace Owens talking, by the way, so it's really leaning into the conspiracy angle here. I just want to stress that.
Mikey from every angle available to see, like, maybe we just missed it, and he did at some point put that phone down, dial a number, speed dial, hold down one.
What Candace just pointed out, I need to say with this, is that Mikey McCoy, a figure with direct proximity to Charlie Kirk at the Turning Point USA infrastructure, picked up his phone and made a call within milliseconds of the event.
No, he didn't pick up his phone and make a call. It's way more likely that he received a call and answered it just at the same time that Charlie Kirk was getting shot. That footage, I guess I'll just have to show it to you guys real quick.
To my attention, I obviously have a file, a big folder of files of every angle. Here we go.
So I'm going to show you guys this footage because it does not show what Candace or this conspiracist are claiming that it shows. And I'm getting into the debunking business, so.
Let's watch the clip again in milliseconds so you really grasp how quickly this transpires. So when this clip was brought,
Hold on. I'm sorry, guys.
grasp how quickly this transpires. So when this clip was brought, now we're tracking that. Yeah, when the clip was brought to my attention, I obviously have a file. Infrastructure.
Yeah, so the argument being made here is that because this random dude that happens to be well, I guess he's not a random guy, but this guy that is involved in Turning Point USA's infrastructure and their shit, which I don't know what degree he's even involved. I've never heard of this Mikey McCoy guy. I might have heard the name mentioned a time or two or something, but I don't recall. But the thing I want to stress more than anything is damn it, I think that damn ant stung me. God damn it. Anyway, I guess the cat's food bowl had a couple of fucking food scraps in it. Ants were going at it. Anyway, so I'm gonna let me just use the bathroom real quick and I'll be right back. I hate to sound like a clanker defender, but every so often I'll ask myself a question, and I think about how neat it would be to have a functional Jarvis-style AI assistant that can give you like real-time, reliable answers. Anyway, so basically the argument seems to be, in this clip anyway, the argument seems to be that because this guy holds his phone up to his ear at the same time Charlie gets shot, or like right before it, um, he can't be making a 911 call, and he's, I don't know, it's just like conspiracy theory bullshit. The idea seems to be that he is making a phone call to somebody like as an indicator or something, I guess, but it just seems a lot more likely that he received a phone call at the same time that happened. And it's just a coincidence.
Picked up his phone and made a call within milliseconds of the event. No flinch, no panic, no drop. Just a call, picked the phone call. Like a man.
No, that's not what it shows. It does not show a calm, collected phone call. It shows him putting the phone up to his ear and then fucking running as soon as the shot is heard, and like the fucking collective panic sets in.
Receiving exactly the news he was expecting. Who makes a phone call before the screen even starts? Not making an accusation, just describing what the video shows and what happened that day. What's even more strange is the reaction that
See, this is something that conspiracy theorists will do a lot. They will tell you what they're describing and just being like, oh, that's just, I'm just describing it accurately and everything. I'm not giving a narrative here.
And after the event, especially when a journalist or reporter asks her what her message is to Candace Owens. This is what she said.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lives. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
What's that supposed to say? What the fuck is she supposed to say about it? Like, what is she supposed to wax poetic for 10 minutes about how horrible it is? She's trying, like, I don't even like Erica Kirk, but she's obviously trying to maintain some veneer of strength through struggle, and, like, she's holding it together and shit, you know? I think she's obviously going through it, and I've got some doubts myself about the veracity of her humanity, but this just seems like a weird example, personally.
Stood in front of 100,000 grieving people and publicly forgave the man charged with killing her husband. Only then, the entire nation. She was asked one question about Candace's illness, publicly asking questions about her husband's death. One word came back. Stop. Candace is small and there's the investigation has already answered this. But I've seen the evidence and it says otherwise. Just stop. So please disagree when I will never minimize it. But I know this. When someone is asking questions you want answered, you say too calm. Someone is asking questions you need silence, say stop. One word. You make of it what you will. Please where we stand. Classified emails pointing to a bomb, one bullet, shrapnel on a dead man's hand, and no rifle shot can explain.
You can't prove that that was shrapnel. There's no evidence that it's shrapnel. It resembles blood spatter more than it resembles shrapnel. Shrapnel does not tend to arrive in nice little round packages like what we saw in that clip.
Arms facility burned to nothing 30 days later. One call made before Patty decided one more start was to ask questions. Maybe the official story is right. Maybe every one of these details is noise and nothing more. But the truth has nothing to fear from questions. Only lies and just up.
Yeah, no, I don't buy it. I think it's probably just Iranian propaganda. Just because it's Iran saying it doesn't mean there's anything fucking to it. I'll believe it when I see some like reproductions of these documents. Like if they release the actual files and you can see the fucking files and download the files and people can look into the metadata and the edits and yada yada yada. That's one thing. And if it like resembles like what you might actually see the FBI do, maybe we can start to talk about it at that point. But as long as it's just that same, like I've seen that video before as far as the Iranian hacker talking about what they found out. But it's like, wouldn't they want you to think that? Like that, like don't. And I'm once again, I don't think we should be at war with Iran. But given that we are, isn't it to Iran's benefit that we don't know what's really going on in our own country and that we're all at each other's throats about what possibly happened, and especially like it would benefit their side, or their position, or however you want to put it, if the conclusion that the American public take away from that is, oh, Israel is responsible for killing Charlie Kirk and it's because they turned on him on yada yada yada. And I think there is some evidence that that might maybe be true, but I certainly do not think that part of that is like the fucking Iranian hacker video. Yeah, I mean, all of the fucking rats are trying to abandon the ship right now because pretty much everyone understands that the MAGA movement may go on to live a longer life than what it has so far, but Trump is living on borrowed time as it is. Um, he is not long for this world, and I find it pretty doubtful that his political legacy is either. And so I think a lot of people are trying to um, look into what's going to be the next step, I guess you could say. Like me and Joey have talked about how, Trump is at this point not really cut out for it, how he needs to step down and let Vance take over, how it needs to be Vance or Rubio in 2028, not some pointless third run of Trump's. So I think even a lot of like everyday average conservatives are realizing that the movement needs new leadership, that things are becoming fragmented, and um, the will of the people isn't really being listened to, and the demagogues who've been profiting off of their positions, unlike the regular voters, they obviously have more to lose than any regular voter does in changing their minds. Not Prowler Crowder, dude. Not just Prowler Crowder, abusive as fuck to his ex-wife Crowder. You guys ever seen that video?
I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, no, you just I drew a boundary. You were not taking a car. No, because then I will go make a groceries. I will have sex. But no, I don't know what you want. How about you work? Okay, Steven, I can't. Feeling some constraints? Like, I can't go. Listen to me. You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't call my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take me to no, I just think it's a lot of things, baby. I'll get it. I'll be back when they're back.
God, this guy is depraved. This motherfucker is awful. Can you imagine living with that? What a disgusting little catty bitch. Crowder is such a douche. I know, Mr. G. By the way, thank you guys for being members. I appreciate it. Y'all are all able to chat with me. It's awesome. This has been a really successful stream. In terms of, we've gotten like 51 bucks in donations. We've gotten quite a few members, I think. I know King Bugs donated some memberships earlier. I know we've gotten some independent signups. So I appreciate you guys a ton. Yes, I can. I can imagine. Oh, yes, I'm sure you can. I hope I was never that bad, Taylor. God, I hope I was never that bad. Have y'all seen Ethan Klein trolling Stephen Crowder by bringing on Sam Cedar to debate? Epic pre-genocide moment from Ethan? I have not seen that. Isn't it wild how, like, the genocide in Gaza is really one of those things that's making people show their true colors in a way few other events have been able to? Yeah, he's a goblin now, yeah. He's a ghoul like the rest of them, but there was a time. Ultimately, like, Zionism versus anti-Zionism, I think it's right that it's become one of those divisive things that either, you know, you are either pro-genocide or against genocide. I just know that's not the worst of it. It never ends with threats. Yeah, no, for sure. I do feel really bad how I acted, I should say, during our relationship. I don't feel like it was like the most depraved torture a human could lay upon someone else, I guess, but we definitely had quite a few fights where I could have de escalated, could have walked away, could have tried a different tact. I think that's one of the reasons why we work better as friends than we ever did as partners or housemates, is because I think we bounce off of each other well, but um, we are unfortunately, I think, this like the kind of people who also bounce off of each other's rage and vitriol. I don't know how else to put it. Give someone money and their true colors always show. True. True, which is why I was gifted memberships to the Pessimist Productions boys and, gifted a few to a couple independent creators I know and shit. All of H3 have showed their ghoulishness. Yeah, no, for sure. Faux show, faux show. And it's sad, but I think it's one of those things. Like I said, the Gaza conflict and the IP issue and this ongoing Iran war, it really is a bellwether for where someone's priorities are at. Thank you for the gifted membership, Ben. We're gonna watch the rest of this though.
I understand the difference between one life being set in the second and going to that going back. Only way out of it is discipline. It's the only way I think we're in an impact.
Had to pay it forward. Someone gifted me one. Well, that's a good way to look at it. Thank you. Oh my god, I hate that shit. We'll go back to it, but I want to confront something in the chat. Tizzy, don't be complaining about Taylor always banning you when you're literally in the chat with her right now and she's not banning you. And by the way, if Taylor does ban you a lot, maybe it's because you're like trying to like attention seek from her by constantly mentioning her in chat and complaining when she doesn't interact, Like come on, man. Respect the vibe. Anyway, I want to go back over this, so I reverse the 10 seconds. You give up so easily. So she is trying to reconcile with him. She is trying her fucking utmost best to figure out some other way to make this work so that Steven won't be mad at her and will drop it. And rather than just drop it like a kind hearted, compassionate human being, or even just a regular person with a soul, he just says, "Ugh, you give up so easily." Like, literally at that point, that's literally egging it on. That's unironically egging it on. That's literally like, no, I'm not done fighting. Like, what the fuck? Who does that? Who does that? Imagine if religion did not exist, none of this crazy Christian shit in America trying to take over the government, none of the tragedies in the Middle East. I'm sure we'd have other reasons too. Well, Matt, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I was making this point at the beginning of the stream. I was screaming at everybody saying, if it were not for Judah Maccabee rebuilding the Second Temple in Jerusalem and like basically helping to fortify the Jewish faith on for more generations. If it had not been for the destruction of that temple later by the Romans and the subsequent like religious response that inspired, and like there's this whole fucking line of things that happen. But if you want to trace back the origins of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam to one central event, it can all be traced back to the rebuilding of the temple. And if that had not been done, there's a good chance we would have been spared the whole sordid affair. There's a good chance that that early Abrahamic faith that in many ways resembled Judaism would have died out and would not have gone on to produce uh, the three Abrahamic religions that currently dominate the religious minds of so many faithful. And as Christopher Hitchens says in God is Not Great, we could have been spared the whole sordid affair. Okay, so I found it. Here's the quote. Okay, I'm going to read this quote. The Maccabees, who founded the Hasmonean dynasty, were forcibly restoring Mosaic fundamentalism against the many Jews of Palestine and elsewhere who had become attracted to Hellenism. These true early multiculturalists had become bored by the law, offended by circumcision, interested by Greek literature, drawn by the physical and intellectual exercises of the gymnasium, and rather adept at philosophy. They could feel the pull exerted by Athens, even if only by way of Rome, and were impatient with the stark fear and superstition mandated by the Pentateuch. When the father of Judas Maccabeus uh, um, saw a Jew about to make a Hellenic offering on the old altar, he lost no time in murdering him. After the next few years of the Maccabean revolt, many more assimilated Jews were slain or forcibly circumcised, or both, and the women who had flirted with the new Hellenic dispensation suffered even worse, since the Romans eventually preferred the violent and dogmatic Maccabees to the less militarized and fanatical Jews who had shone in their togas in the Mediterranean light. The scene was set for an uneasy collusion between the old garb ultra-Orthodox Sanhedrin and the imperial government. This lugubrious, fuck, I hate Hitchens for using this damn word. This lugubrious relationship eventually led to Christianity, yet another Jewish heresy, and thus inelect, ineluctably, God, man, such a wordy piece of shit, and thus ineluctably to the birth of Islam. We could have been spared the whole thing. My statement about the temple stands. Let me see. We Catholics tend not to give a fuck about Jews making a new temple like they're trying, since Christ is the living temple. I call that free real estate. That's funny. It's free real estate. It's like the meme. Yeah, no. Well, that's one of the things actually I learned earlier today looking into the issue is that for a long time after the after the first Roman Jewish war and the destruction of the temple and everything, once the Roman Empire adopted Christianity, the Byzantines for a long time used it as basically a garbage dump. Maybe not the whole thing, but they used big portions of it as a garbage dump to highlight its fall and decay, basically. Before the Al-Aqsa Mosque was built. And there was some sort of conflict on how to worship in Jerusalem that disrupted taxes. Syria considered rebellion and banned their law. The ban catalyzed Judaism as a rebellion to Syrian authority. Yep, 100%. I've been watching a professor saying that the law was written in Syria during the exile. The Syrian king encouraged local deity. What now? What's going on? Before the ban, the ritual purity wasn't popular. It was very fringe. The pre-plus Josiah purge was a family religion. Asherah and El, the male and female deity of the ancient Near East. See, this is one of those things. This is another one of the reasons why I keep thinking about going back to school and getting some fucking college under my belt because I feel like I could get access to a lot of this information a lot easier and read primary sources and stuff like that and be able to know more about this shit. And I know you don't have to fucking go to college to understand this shit, but what I'm saying is that it's an environment that's meant to program you with as much fucking knowledge as possible. Not program you, but you know what I mean. Have you seen the Red Heifer Third Temple versus Islam stuff? It's insane. It's going to cause global wars through the fucking 3,000-year promise crap. No fucking doubt about that. Yeah. No, I know well about it, and it's another one of those things Hitchens talks about, and God is not great. It's also something you can hear modern secularists talking about to this day. I've criticized it even before I read the book. But yeah, basically the idea is that Jewish people believe that in order for the Messiah to return, because they don't believe the Messiah has returned, and I think fuck man, let me just look it up so I don't get it wrong, because I believe that the rebuilding of the third temple is tied to their Messiah myth, but let me make sure. So I just asked Gemini, what do Jews believe will happen if the third temple is built? So the construction of the third temple, Beit HaMikdash, is a central pillar of Jewish eschatology, theology concerning the end of days. Horrifying. While views vary significantly between different movements, from literal anticipation to symbolic interpretation, the traditional Orthodox perspective remains the most influential. According to classical Jewish sources, several transformative events are expected to coincide with the temple's restoration. So the arrival of the Messiah, the Mashiach, in mainstream Jewish thought, the building of the Third Temple is inextricably linked to the Messianic era. Maimonides, a preeminent medieval scholar, codified the belief that the true Messiah will be recognized specifically by his ability to rebuild the temple and gather the Jewish exiles back to the land of Israel. Interesting. Interesting. That is very interesting. That is fascinating. So, restoration of divine presence, Shekinah, or Shekinah. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. It's believed that the third temple will once again become the physical dwelling place for the divine presence on earth. This would signify a return to the level of prophecy and spiritual clarity that existed during the First and Second Temple periods, which has been considered hidden during the long period of exile, Galut. Reestablishment of the sacrificial system. Oh? Reestablishment of the sacrificial system. Traditional liturgy and law suggest that the daily offerings, korbanot, and the service of the Kohanim, priests, and Levites will be restored. Some modern thinkers, such as Rav Kook, the first chief rabbi of Mandatory Palestine, suggested that in the Third Temple, animal sacrifices might be replaced exclusively by mincha offerings, representing a more refined spiritual state. Okay. Global peace and recognition. The temple is envisioned as a house of prayer for all nations. Jews believe its existence will usher in an era of universal peace, the end of idolatry, and a global recognition of the one God. So let's see here. So, significant technical requirement in Jewish law for the temple's operation is the para aduma, which is the red heifer. According to the Torah, the ashes of a perfectly red heifer are necessary for the ritual purification of the priests. Without this purification, many believe the temple service cannot legally resume, regardless of whether a building exists. Ah, okay. Neat. Okay, well, I'm gonna fucking definitely make sure that that's one of these conversations that gets saved. Yeah, there we go, because that's gonna be useful. I can look into sources more later, but yeah, that's incredibly fascinating. I always thought the red heifer thing was one of those things that they had to do to get the temple built. But I guess it should show. I guess it might be worth looking into. Do they believe it's like a precondition to have it built, or do they think it's something that will happen? Because from what I was just reading, it sounds like they think it's like a precondition to make it functional for its spiritual purpose or whatever. But that doesn't necessarily say much else. Baseball is the only really popular sport America came up with. True. Facts might be to inspire a new generation. We have 2 weeks for us to dilute athletes within only back winners. We see the flopping and hate it. What in the fuck? Okay. Since when did fucking Wikipedia get so goddamn hard to read on a phone? Okay, I don't know how I managed to fuck that up, but anyway. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to figure out if there's a World Cup going to be played anywhere near me, and there is. There's going to be one in Atlanta, but I don't know that I want to go to a fucking World Cup. Can someone pass me an ibuprofen? Sure. My family that still lives in Italy still loves soccer, but I've been converting them to American football fans. That's funny. They like European football, but soon they shall like something different. Valid. Oh, better ciao, better ciao, better ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. And if there was, there'd have been no cheese. I spend all day now upon my mattress. A beaten Dorn, beaten Dorn, beaten Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. I spend all day now upon my mattress. Except when I get up to smoke. I gotta write this shit down, bro. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. So I just ate fistfuls of cheese. I spend all day now upon my mattress. Sorry, I am like engrossed in writing this song. I'm sorry, you guys. Keenism songs could be its own category of music at this point. It really could. Yeah, peace for chillin'. I'm glad you guys have stuck around as long as you have. I'm kind of surprised, but I've added some more lines to this song, so I'm making it a good one. I'm gonna sing this for you guys when it's done. When we were little, our moms hit us in the head with hairbrushes and tell us to sit still while they scalp us to do our hair. Yeah, and that's not exactly good for anyone's development. I was told as a kid, girls don't like their hair pulled, then learn that was a fucking lie. Yeah. Okay, you guys ready? New Brett Keane song just dropped. New Brett Keane song just dropped. Proper, please, gonna fucking. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. So I just ate fistfuls of cheese. I'll spend all day now upon my mattress. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. I spend all day now upon my mattress, except when I get up to shit. There's Sunny D here upon my nightstand. Oh, I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. There's Sunny D there upon my nightstand, along with sweet tea and Dub's root beer. If I should die here within this trailer, I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. If I should die here within this trailer, let it not be from black mold. I hear my son now fucking his girlfriend. I'm beating off, beating off, beating off, off, off. I hear my son now fucking his girlfriend, and my shadow's at their door. Dorn, come here, you fucking bitch! Slander and liability situation. Phoebe, you better delete that song right now. How do you explain this to somebody who knows nothing of Brett? You don't. You can't. You can't. You can't. It went hard though. Yeah, I'm actually gonna make that. I'm gonna put that up on my channel whenever I get my microphones in. I'm just gonna make a real cover and do that. Maybe at the end I'll do a lore dump. You know, be like, hey, I figured after a song as weird as that one, you might want a bit of a lore dump as to why that song made sense, okay? So to do that, we're going to have to explain a few things, you know? I have old teacher matches on. Nice, that's cool. Yeah, it is for sure. Snaps. Thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. One morning, there was no chili. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. Woke up one morning, there was no chili. So I just ate fistfuls of cheese. I spend all day now upon my mattress. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. I spend all day now up on my mattress, except when I get up to piss. There's Sunny D there upon my nightstand. I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. There's Sunny D there upon my nightstand, along with sweet tea and Cubs root beer. If I should die here within this trailer, I'm beating Dorn, beating Dorn, beating Dorn, Dorn, Dorn. If I should die here within this trailer, let it not be from the black mold. I hear my son now fucking his girlfriend. I'm beating off, beating off, beating off, off, off. I hear my son now fucking his girlfriend, and my shadow's at their door. What a disgusting piece of shit. Phoebe, if you have extra insulation laying around, you could make a sound box to record these songs. True. I could also just record them outside on a clear day, you know, have some little bit of background noise, but wouldn't get any echoes or anything. I think at the end you should do another verse, but double speed. Maybe. Maybe. Sorry. If I should release a Keanism album, I know. That'd be awesome. I understand that he beats his wife, so he also lives in a trailer and he listens to his son do his GF. How do we even know these things? Oh, we know he lives in a shitty trailer because he used to like show it off. Not, but you know, like, I don't know, like, it really doesn't matter that he lives in a trailer, right? What matters is that he lives in a trailer while also being like a white supremacist, fucking plagiarizing Christian nationalist, shits on other poor people, piece of shit, you know? As far as how we know he listens to his son fucking his that literally his son's uh by the time she did this, ex-girlfriend went on Reddit, provided receipts of their relationship, you know, her and him together and everything, shit like that, and talked about some of the stuff that went down in the Keene household. And that was one of the allegations that came out of that. So maybe she was just lying, but she did show receipts of her being in a relationship with Brett Keene's son. But we also, like, Brett Keene is stupid as fuck, and, you know, like, I don't know, if Brett was smart, he wouldn't, like, go around just calling himself Brett Keene on YouTube, you know, but he does, so everybody else does too. But because he does that, and he also talks about where he's from, well, he doesn't do it anymore, but he used to all the time, and so everybody knows that he's from Southeast Missouri. A lot of people know that he's from Festus. It's pretty much public knowledge at this point. I happen to know where his actual address is, and that's because I know Missouri's back-end systems, because I'm also from Missouri. There's other Missourians who also know Missouri's back-end systems that didn't have as many scruples, who have talked about Brett Keene's address, and as a result, it's somewhat out there, but I don't, like I said, I don't talk about it. I don't want people to be doxing the fucking manatee or going to his house or no shit like that. But from that information, we can confirm that Brett Keene does indeed live in a trailer. And like I said, I wouldn't even care about that, but he shits on other poor people. Like, if he finds out that somebody he's talking to is broke, unless they are pretty much in his exact situation, he will, like, talk down to them, like, massively. Or, use it as a cudgel outright against them, as if he's got any fucking room to fucking speak, you know? Or, like, he will use signs of poverty or what he interprets as signs of poverty, like things like a trailer or whatever, as cudgels against someone when he himself lives that way, even when that person is actually living a better life than Brett lives. Could you imagine your worst nightmares trying to make love to your BF and you just hear louder grunting from the other side of the door? No, I sure can't. Got caught by dad a long time ago on top of my GF at the time, gave me an awkward thumbs up and closed the door. That's like a normal dad reaction. I feel like that's normal. Is like, uh, okay, walk away. Yeah, he beat his cancer-ridden mother. Brett Keane is like, he's like the worst human being alive, basically. As far as like normal people without power, he's like the worst human being I can think of, basically. He's doxed people, he's a prolific doxer. He has wielded his religion as a fucking cudgel against people a number of times. He constantly uses his religion as like a backdrop for all of his hateful bullshit. In the last couple of years, his content has went from being like more or less religion focused and shit like that to being exclusively political shit, trying to ride the wave and make AI music. And to the degree that he makes political content, it's always Trump ball sucking, white nationalist fucking garbage under the thinnest of precepts. Dude, I tell you what, Brett Keane is like a Matt Walsh or a Michael Knowles or somebody like that if they never got discovered and like gave up on themselves, basically, but never stopped making content. Chronic situation. Yeah. I wrote a Brett Keane song earlier, Riley. I don't know if you got to hear it, but you should you know, back the stream up a little bit if you didn't, because it was really funny. Luckily, I don't dream much because I'm chronic. Yeah. I don't have much in the way of dreams either anymore, which I pretty much I like that because I don't do well with my dreams usually either. Why is it the moral superiority Christians tend to be Protestants and especially born again? Um, I think it's because those religions preach condemnation, honestly. For the most part, like those sects, they preach condemnation and like exclusionary rhetoric to the degree where, like, if you join them, fine, you're all right. But if you don't join them, you're an apostate, practically, even though you never were with that religion. I wonder if there's been any more shipping updates on any of my items. Wake me up inside. Wake me up inside. Wake me up and save me from myself. Oh, 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 hey. That's cool. What's that?
What's that?
Huge fan of Daft Punk, so I never got to see them. I like Daft Punk, but I don't know that I'd be down to see them in person. Eh. Take a toke situation. I do need to take a toke. Too far gone. Too far gone. Sorry, I'm like doing some phone research. I'm sorry, you guys. Mm-hmm. All good with me. Feels like there's somebody hanging in the room while I paint. Nice. Well, I'll try to do something a little bit more interesting than that here in a minute. I'm just checking a few things. Nice. I bought a bed, and it's coming. Hmm. Skip it up and down up. Yep. Well, let's enjoy a bowl, you guys, before we get going. Let me just use the bathroom. Okay. Are those menthols? They are indeed. Cool. 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 I smoke menthol so that the goth baddies choose me to bum a smoke from. True. Good strategy. Speaking of you, and goth baddies, I cannot wait for the next DFF meetup. Shit. But life's like a road that you drive along. One day here and one day gone. Sometimes you stand, sometimes you turn your back to the wind. But outside every darkened door, you anymore. Breathe and free under the soul. I'm here to understand true. My baby mom was gonna smoke for the first time the very same night as the sex ritual to conceive my kid. Thankfully, she said no. Aw, damn. That's crazy. I still think that that is insanely wild that that is the story of the origins of your kid. Not that it's not a thing that happens, it's just crazy. It's just, you don't meet that many people for whom that is the origin story. That's all. I'm so glad I was able to get the repairs done on my mom's car. I'm really looking forward to our trip up to Missouri. I'm still awake, but not for long. I don't know how long I'm going to end up being awake. I keep wanting to pull an all-nighter and power through the daytime, but God, is it hard. You know what obstacle I keep running up against? I'm just not able to eat enough in the morning to power me through, basically. trying to think, what did I have for dinner last night? Oh, yeah. Rabbit and scalloped potatoes and succotash. Pretty sure Massachusetts still has highest concentration of witches. Then she named our cat after a fucking cartoon unicorn. Aw, but that's cute. Wait, named after Twilight Sparkle? Holy shit. I'm gonna die. White and green witches wouldn't get too crazy apart from drugs. The black magic, studying pagans would do some crazy shit for sure. Scary. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. It's been a nice long stream. We've already done well over 3 hours. I appreciate you guys hanging around, but I'm getting a little tired, and if I am to power through the rest of this day, I need to at least rest a bit. Maybe rest my eyes if nothing else. And by rest my eyes, I don't mean go to sleep. I just mean like literally be looking at something other than these lights and this fucking phone. So, with that being said, thank you guys for hanging out with me so long. Thank you so much for being members of the channel, or mods, whichever one you might be. While in the military, I was really into speech. I mean, that's fucking crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys. Peace. Thank you for supporting the channel, all that. I appreciate y'all. Peace.